Wow. That was just fucking amazing. If you guys missed out on this podcast, man, definitely need to see the replay. If you don't have the network, unless you're in the UK, well, if you're in the United States and you don't have the network, well, why? So you fucking need this. So this podcast just hit it out of the ballpark. Stone Cold and Vince McMahon, they pretty much covered everything I wanted to know. They covered Randy Savage, why, or when he'll be in the Hall of Fame. Vince McMahon said definitely he'll be in, at least within the next 10 years. Not saying it's going to happen this year, but it will happen sooner than later. So it's great to hear about. He talked about CM Punk as well. Vince even apologized. I don't know if you guys remember it all from over 3 years ago from the WWE Summer of Punk, when he had that segment where he kept on saying apologize to the fans and apologize to him for all of his mistreatment. And Vince McMahon, first thing he said when CM Punk was brought up, I apologize to him. I apologize that he got his whatever the firing papers are called on his wedding day. That was not intentional. That was pretty cool. He touched up on the CM Punk situation, kind of compared it to what the situation he had with Stone Cold when Stone Cold walked out, except that Stone Cold had like a medium between them. Stone Cold had Jim Ross to talk to, and Jim Ross would talk to Vince, and CM Punk was kind of a loner and didn't really have any medium between them. No one that either of them have mutual friends at all that they could talk to. So that's one of the reasons why Punk split, I guess. And yeah, that was just cool to see him actually touch up on CM Punk. He hasn't spoke out on CM Punk. I know Stephanie McMahon on Raw has probably talked about how CM Punk's a quitter and stuff like that. But yeah, and Vince also said he has not seen the Cabana Punk podcast. It's just like, no, I did not see that. Yeah. What else did he talk about? He talked about a lot more. He talked about how he's not really in the pro wrestling, sports entertainment. Well, he's in the sports entertainment industry, but he's not really in the pro wrestling industry. He's not competing against other wrestling promotions. He's competing against other shows on television. Like Breaking Bad when it was on, he was competing against that all the time. He's trying to outdraw other shows. He's trying to outdraw Monday Night Football. He's just trying to become the best overall TV show it can be. It's not just about wrestling. It's about the overall entertainment aspect of that. And a little bit, he touched up on about how the roster is different from now and then. Said people back then, they had more ribs and stuff. The locker room, they're more close-knit. Now it's kind of like they're all separated. Some few groups, but yeah. Let's see. What else they talked about? They really covered almost everything. They covered some of the stuff from the Attitude Era. Obviously the Vince McMahon, or Mr. McMahon versus Steve Austin feud. That huge feud they had there. On their match at St. Valentine's Massacre, I believe that's what the show was called, where they're both on the cage and Stone Cold kind of like slams McMahon's head against the cage and he falls over onto that table. They showed a really sick replay of McMahon landing. He hit the wrong spot on the table. He hit the hard spot kind of on the edge. So he said he had a lot of internal bleeding, possibly could have died from that just because he didn't hit the sweet spot. And yeah, that's a little bit of what they talked about from the Attitude Era, and just some of the matches they had together, some of the segments they put together. It was just great. And he also talked about how Shane McMahon is doing. That was really cool. He also kind of touched up on Linda McMahon, why she left WWE, and they're like, it's tough having a family, running a company with a family, because there's going to be so much disagreement between it. And he also talked about how Shane and Stephanie both got into the business as well. He didn't really force them in. He made them work, and Let's see. Shane McMahon wanted a raise because he was working there over the summer. He wanted a raise. Vince told him no. So then Shane went somewhere else, worked in like a warehouse or something, and he doubled his pay there. So said he was proud of him for that. Let's see. Can't remember too much else of what they talked about. I know they covered a lot, so I mean, if you missed this, you need to see it. This video I'm making right here does not do it justice. There's so much more they talked about. I've definitely got it. This is gonna be rewatched more than a few times. I really hope they do a part 2. I mean, they even went over time. They went an extra 15 minutes. This is like, oh, I own the network. We'll just go on for another 15. So they did that, and it was awesome. I mean, the only 2 subjects I really have questions about would probably be maybe the Owen Hart situation, how he fares in the Hall of Fame. I believe Stone Cold probably could have fit that in with the Randy Savage question about the Hall of Fame and everything. A little bit about Owen Hart, see if he'll ever go in. And also, it's totally not likely, but I was thinking that maybe there'd be a Chris Benoit reference, possibly, just about how they're kind of really protecting his name, not letting anyone in the company say anything about it. I mean, the only one that's really gone away with it has been Jericho. He posted a picture on his Twitter or something with him. So yeah, that's really the only 2 questions. Maybe Stone Cold could talk a little bit about Ring of Honor, how some superstars from there have thrived in the WWE. Bring up examples: CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, aka Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, currently right now Sami Zayn, people like them, how they're just thriving right now in WWE. Another question I'd like to see answered. So, yeah, and I believe Stone Cold both said TNA 2 times, name dropped TNA 2 times, and then Vince didn't say anything about TNA at all. He's just like, well, we're competing against other shows. We're not just staying within the wrestling industry, stuff like that. Vince talked about, he didn't like Stone Cold, how he said wrestling and wrestlers, and then Stone Cold corrected himself, sports entertainment and superstars. So yeah, pretty much everything you could ask about was covered. So if you live in the U.S. or a place where the network's available, go subscribe to it. Give it $9.99. You already had a month free. Give them $9.99. It's worth it. With the success of this, they're probably going to do a part 2. I don't know if it's with Vince or maybe Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair. Man, just think if they could get The Rock come WrestleMania time. That would just be insane. So, leave me your thoughts on this podcast. Let me know what you thought of it. If you could like, comment, subscribe, that'd be great. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.